Yes, thank you very much. Very exciting news from ESRC and DFID on education systems. And I want to share our approach to education systems and some education research priorities that we have. So our strategy is based on our education strategy that was published a couple of years ago, Learning for All 2020, which identifies the priorities for us, puts learning outcomes as the focus of our programs, and calls for more analysis of education systems. And that's what we're taking forward. The main issues for us are the twin challenge in developing countries of the 57 million or so children that are out of school, never been to school, and the about 250 million children who have been to school but are unable to read and write. These are the quantity and quality challenges that we're addressing in our strategies, our programs, and our research efforts. Our programs also link very closely to our overall World Bank strategy and objectives, which are to end poverty and to boost shared prosperity. So both ending poverty and promoting equity and growth. Our systems approach, based on the strategy, is the Systems Approach for Better Education Results. It's a program that we formally launched this week in London. Our Vice President, Beth King, announced the program. This is an effort to measure the quality of the policies in education across countries, compare outcomes, and make recommendations for improving system effectiveness. The key is education systems are responsible for the outcomes we want to see, and we need to understand how those systems work. Some of the examples of what we've learned already in the 3 years or so of the piloting the SABER program, we've learned how the evidence-based policies have helped us identify opportunities for change and have helped us in our programming. The example I wanted to mention is Nigeria. This is a country that tried 4 of our SABER domains in education policy and used the results to design a program, and we're investing in that government program in 3 states in a $150 million loan that was just approved a few months ago. Another example is on the sustainability of those systems that we analyze. In the case of Vietnam, we looked at the learning assessment system, the policies behind that, and Vietnam has been a country that's benchmarked the education system with us through SABER, but also in the PISA, the OECD's student assessment program. And in December, the results of PISA showed that Vietnam achieved a level of learning that's higher than the OECD average at more than 500 points. So the program helps us look at the strength of the system and helps make recommendations for making that those strong learning outcomes sustainable in the long run. The other example is in the improvement of service delivery. We've applied several SABER programs in Uganda, and Uganda has used these results to improve its teacher training program and its vocational training policies. And the final example I wanted to give is in the case of Bulgaria, a country that doesn't borrow from the World Bank, but we do offer technical assistance, and they've also applied several of the SABER domains, and in the case of workforce development, used the results to reform their labor laws and vocational training programs. The SABER program that we launched this week has 104 countries represented so far, 207 applications, and we count more than 2,000 policy variables. It's a database that's available online for everyone to download. We have country reports and the data. And the data has been used and can be used to analyze complex relationships and to inform country programs. So country reports and a massive database that's available for research. How we came to the approach for the systems approach for better education results, or SABER, was that we were in a place a few years ago where we knew a lot about the inputs of education systems and a little bit about the outputs. We knew about enrollments, and more countries are getting involved in learning assessments, regional or international. But we didn't know a lot about what happened between the spending and the outcomes that we were interested in. So it was a sort of black box. And what we do with the SABER approach is look at the quality of the policies and institutions. This is the first step of our SABER program. This is where the 104 countries come in. The second phase, which we are working on now, is to look at the quality of the implementation. The first question is, are those policies actually being implemented at the school level, and why not? And this is another set of data that we are producing in countries. The third level is the quality of the engagement on those policies. What's happening at the classroom level? Are there any behavioral changes? And we have instruments for that, produced from other programs, the service delivery indicators and classroom observations so far. But of course, we can do this with surveys as well. This is complemented with a significant effort to generate evidence in the education system, which I want to talk about, and then this feeds into our policy dialogue in country on the reforms. We've had several rounds of funding for research programs. A few years ago, we published the book Making Schools Work, which reviewed the evidence to date in these three areas: the use of information, school-based management, and teacher incentives. We continued this research program, and in partnership with DFID, we have the Strategic Impact Evaluation Fund, £29 million program over several years to generate rigorous evidence in 4 areas, including education, early child development, health, and water and sanitation. In the education sector, the latest round of proposals that we funded include the countries listed below. Our areas of focus are accountability, teacher incentives, and the role of the non-state sector in basic education delivery. We are entering the second round of proposals, which closed very recently, and we'll be announcing those awards in the coming months. And there'll be at least one more round of applications available within the CEIF program. I want to very quickly mention how useful this evaluation effort has been. In the precursor to the current CEIF program, Mexico was one of the countries that benefited from the evaluations. It's a country we've had a long-standing relationship in terms of partnering on policy reform and financing education programs. And the research effort has allowed us to learn a lot more about what works in these programs, why they work, and for whom. And it has led to significant reforms in how those programs work, scaling up of what works, dropping what doesn't work. And in the current education reform program going on in Mexico, these results are being used to inform the change. One of the aspects that we highlighted in the research was the benefits of empowering parents and school leaders to make more decisions, and the concept of more autonomous schools has caught on, and this is one of the platforms in the reform, along with several other aspects related to teachers and information. So the continuum of analysis is exemplified in the case of Mexico, the application of SABER to the existing programs, rigorous program of impact evaluations in many locations across a variety of programs, improve the evidence base, and the combination of that evidence and the SABER analysis has led to a contribution to an important reform that's going on. And this is an example of where we think the SABER program, along with the impact evaluations on what works in education systems, will help us achieve as we work with our partners to improve learning outcomes for children and get everyone in school. Thank you very much.